Hi, I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chris.
And we're from Love My Brit. And we're here today to talk about differences between British houses and American houses. Yes. Or at least things that I've come to notice since living here.
Yeah, things that we've noticed since we've been together and we've seen a few British houses, American ones. These might not be true for all of them, but just some of the common ones that we've come across in our experience.
And some of these might sound like very, very, very first world problems, but they're just differences. So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to complain about what we have here, it's just they're different. So first thing I wanted to point out was washer and dryers in the kitchen.
Yes.
So why are washer and dryers typically in the kitchen here?
Because that's where, when you've got a house and you need to connect your washing machine to the water source, that's generally where it is. That's just the way they're built.
So because these are older houses, most of the plumbing is in the kitchen area.
Yes.
So that's why.
Yeah, I've seen a few where they're in the bathroom, or a few where they're in a like little annex kind of building. But most places in the kitchen, yeah.
Okay. I've had a house in America where we did have a washer and dryer in the kitchen, but it wasn't necessarily something that looked like it was on display like a kitchen appliance.
Right, is it like the ones hidden in the cupboard or something?
Yeah, they're hidden behind a closet or just, out of sight. But when I come here and I see just the washer or the dryer right there, just like it's a normal kitchen appliance, it's just kind of weird for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Number 2, doors to every room. Now, I've had a battle with a door here and lost. And lost. I busted my brow and it hurt. There is literally a door between hallways and bedrooms and living rooms and kitchens. I mean, there's a door to get in every single space. And back home in America, I'm not really used to seeing that so much. You typically have doors leading to and from bedrooms to hallway, but a hallway wouldn't have a door separating itself from the living room or the kitchen. I feel like I'm so used to seeing really open spaces, open plans, where you don't want to feel separated from each room. Why do you think that there's so many doors?
Again, in newer builds, it's a lot more common, in apartments in particular, to have a more open plan living kitchen space. But in older houses, like our current house, they are built very separate and rooms are divided up by room. And I've lived in a few houses like that. I've lived somewhere the hallways, or the kitchen is almost like a hallway to the living room. I think it's just the space that the houses occupy is built for that rather than built to be open plan.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard some people say that there are multiple doors in houses like this because it was built off of a belief that if a fire happened, the door would slow the fire down to get to each room.
In a previous student house I lived in, yeah, I'd believe that. Yeah, there was every door was a fire door.
Fire?
No, but every door was specifically a fire door to slow the fire down. Okay. So I could believe that, yeah.
Or was it to keep in heat? Yeah, so there's a lot of questions there, but it is different. I think for me living here, having doors propped open is really nice just because it should be seamless flow walking between rooms in the house. And we don't have our heater on right now, so thinking about trying to keep heat in one area isn't necessarily at the forefronts of our minds right now. But there was a time when a door, which I thought was closed, wasn't, and it slowly moved back to half open. And so when I turned around to go to the kitchen, I ran straight into this door and busted my eyebrow open. You saw it. You saw the whole thing.
I watched it happen.
I didn't cry. You know it's true.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, but you...
I didn't see it.
He did get me a frozen bag of peas, and I sat on the couch.
I'm going to get a frozen bag of broccoli first, though.
Yeah, the broccoli was a little too clumpy. But it hurt. So be careful of those doors, people. Third, light switches. For one thing I do want to mention, I do appreciate that all of the switches here have on and off switches to the power. I do think that's really nice and energy efficient. But what's really weird is, like, the bathroom. Apparently there aren't typically light switches in the bathroom unless it's a cord hanging from the ceiling, so you don't get electrocuted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how do you clean that cord when a lot of dirty hands have touched it?
With more dirty hands.
Oh man. That's all I think about when I see these cords hanging from the ceiling is when was the last time this was clean? You know, at least a light switch can be wiped off and sanitized, but the cords, you don't really think about people replacing that often. It's just kind of weird. I'm not going to get electrocuted when I turn a light on in my bathroom.
No, but it's just kind of the way it is.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. It really did kind of confuse my family who came from the U.S. to visit. Trying to find the light switch in the room and then realizing it's on the outside of the room. Because all the other ones, they're in our rooms. They're inside the actual room itself, except for the bathroom. So that kind of leads me on to the next one. Not having plug sockets in the bathroom. Again, that kind of goes with the health and safety thing. You know, worrying about electrocution and all this kind of stuff. So if people are fortunate enough to have a plug-in in their bathroom, it's what, a little dinky one?
Yeah, they're specifically for charging electric razors, and they're small, like 16-volt ones with very odd shapes that you only get a few appliances which will actually plug into it.
And not all bathrooms have this, right?
No.
We don't have one in our bathroom currently.
No, I'd say about 50-50.
Now, because I'm stubborn, we do have a power cord plug-in not too far outside of our bathroom, and some of my cords reach in, so I can bring my laptop into the bathroom when I'm taking a bath and prop it up and listen to music. And if I have an extension cord, I can do extension cord with a blow dryer, which I'm thinking, that sounds really, really dangerous when you do it, but when you're just like, oh, well, I'm from a country where there are plugs in the bathroom, it's not such a big deal, but having to get around it makes it more dangerous in a way. It's like this disadvantage of not having a plug-in in the bathroom makes you do more things to make it more convenient so you can see yourself in the bathroom if you're blow drying your hair or you want to listen to music while you're in there. It's kind of annoying. Still on the topic of toilets leads me to my next thing. Toilets versus washrooms? Bathrooms?
Yeah, so a specific toilet room. And again, it's something that I think are in older builds, and I've seen more in kind of townhouse style houses, terraced houses rather than detached or semi-detached houses because there's less room. I think what you're referring to here is when there's a room with nothing but a toilet in it.
Yes. Yeah, because I might be able to go to a friend's house and ask them if I can use the bathroom or washroom, and I might not be led into the appropriate room when I really just want to use a toilet. So that's been kind of odd. A couple houses I've been to as well, if they have this specific toilet room, some of them haven't had sinks in them either. So I get this panicky, oh, well, this doesn't seem clean because, you know, I've used the bathroom and then I haven't washed my hands and I'm touching a light switch and opening a door to get to a room where I can wash my hands. So kind of, for me, it's just defeats the purpose. How am I supposed to be clean and sanitary if there's no sink in the toilet room? So that's just different.
Odd.
Yeah. I do feel that some newer builds, if they do have a toilet room, there is a sink in them now, but most of them I have seen have been in older houses and don't. So it's just kind of food for thought.
At least it's not an outhouse, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so that's the bathroom. There was quite a bit about the bathroom there. Windows. So this was my first, you know, full summer and full spring living here, which meant, you know, lots of hot nights and wanting to sleep with the window open for fresh air, but there's bugs. There's bugs here, and they get in through the windows, and then you have bugs in your room. You literally cannot open the window without it being bug-free for the rest of the night, unless your light is turned off.
Yep.
Because all these bugs are attracted to light. They're like these little gnat things. They just come in swarms and infest your room. This has happened to us like 2 times since we've lived here.
Although probably also not helped by the fact we live a bit out in the countryside.
But there's bugs. There's bugs. I've seen bees the size of my thumb here. There's bugs. And it came into our room one time.
Every bee's the size of your thumb here.
And there was a time where one came in our room and he is petrified of bees. And he wanted nothing to do with it. He ran out of the room and waited until it flew back out. And that wouldn't have been a problem if you have screens on your windows.
But we don't.
Yeah. So when I come into better financial positions here, I will be investing in a makeshift mesh cover for our windows that you can apply with Velcro. So I can have my window open, not worry about bugs getting in. Next thing I wanted to mention was the radiators in rooms.
What about them?
They're just kind of different. In America, I've seen them in a couple of houses when they're older, but typically newer ones, you have like these baseboard heaters on the ground, floorboard ones. I'm not really used to seeing a contraption that's like half as tall as me, because I'm only 5 feet tall, half as tall as me, propped up against the wall. I do think it's cool that you can dry your laundry on it. Kind of beneficial. But they are just a little different. Do they heat up the house pretty nice?
I think they're pretty good, but they take a while to get going. That's the main problem.
Even new ones?
Like a fluid-based radiator on the wall. Yeah, even those.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, radiators, don't really see them too much in America. It's not completely unheard of, but they're not very common. But they are very common here.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen any other kind of heater here in the UK. They've all just been radiators.
Yeah, you can get electric ones or fluid ones, but they're all kind of wall heaters rather than built into the floor or anything.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. How can I forget? Speaking of warm and cold, backtrack to the bathroom. Hot water and cold water taps.
Yes.
The concept of having to wash my hands like this is really hard. I mean, I am so used to just having like one main knob and a single faucet dispenser, and it just, you twist it until you get to the right temperature, not this scalding hot and ice cold. Is there a reason for this?
I read on the internet, so it might not be true,
Good old internet.
that the reason is to do with how the water comes into the house and what makes it safe for drinking.
Oh.
And that in the UK at least, when there's a hot water tap and a cold water tap, the hot water tap's kind of stored in older houses again, in a water tank somewhere in the house, in the loft or in the basement, or there's a water tank, it isn't particularly clean, so water comes out of it, you wash your hands in it. But the cold water is piped directly in from the, I guess, the water company.
Good to know.
And that's a more clean, more safe form of drinking water. So in houses in the UK where there are 2 taps and they merge into one, so you've only got one faucet, that's not safe drinking water because it mixes the water from the hot water tank with the water directly piped in. Again, I can't confirm how true that is, but that's a rumour I've heard.
Okay. Learn something new every day. Thank you. This is probably one thing more of an American complaint, that air conditioners over here are not very normal. Not many households have it. And I feel like certain places in the US, this is more common to have in your house versus others. I live in Bellingham, Washington, so air conditioners weren't really a must in Bellingham. Sometimes over the summer we might have a couple of really, really hot periods that last a couple of weeks. And so some people buy these air conditioners that are like big, bulky contraptions that you just sit in your room and connect it to your window, but then after it's done, it just goes back and stored in the garage or in the closet. But I feel like no one has air conditioning over here at all.
Not in residential properties, not in houses. I wouldn't expect it now.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, right? We've got a big fan that kind of helped us through the summer in conjunction with having open windows at night. That really helped. I can't sleep when it's too hot. It's really bad. And again, it really sounds like first world problems, but these are just differences. They're just differences. Or so I remind myself. Fridges here, they're a little smaller.
Yep.
Some people have fridges that are refrigeration only. Some are freezer only, unless you have the combination fridge-freezer. We've got a fridge-freezer.
Yep.
So our bottom half is a freezer, top half is the refrigerator. The one thing that kind of frustrates me about ours is that our freezer has no shelving. It is literally all drawers. And so apparently every few months we're supposed to defrost the freezer because mounds of ice start to form on the inside. I'm not used to this, so it's very different for me to experience, but it's okay. It's just kind of like, oh, I gotta get my ice pick out and clean up some space in my freezer. I mean, you pull out a drawer and literally it looks like you're trying to make a snow cone because all this ice shaving comes down and you're like, where'd that come from? But it's very different. Not used to this at all. I feel like the storage system, because of this, with them being drawers, it's not kind of utilizing the space to its maximum potential. So for me, who was kind of like, I must do Tetris form-fitting with all of my things in my fridge and my freezer, it's been hard. I'm adjusting, but it's been a bit of a process for me to adapt to. Last but not least, I wanted to talk about letterboxes. Now, this is just more of a dog trainer thing, but I find that in the UK, I don't see really anyone with a mailbox. They're all letterboxes built into their door.
Yep.
My grandparents had this at their house when I was little, and I didn't really think it was weird, but as I've gotten older and through my work, I've noticed that there are a lot of dogs who are incredibly reactive, like vocally barking or lunging, growling at the door, and they feed off of this sensation of there's a threat, I react, and then it goes away, so I've done a really good job, well done. So I feel that there are a lot more dogs who are vocally reactive towards mailmen here in the UK because of the letterbox system and putting letters through the door. So they have this constant repetitive threat comes to the house and they chase it off and then everything's all good. So I feel like it's more common that people who have pets over here have dogs who shred up their mail that have just plopped onto the floor unless they invest in a basket where it can fall into.
I used to have a paper round.
What?
A paper round. Well, you go around delivering newspapers.
Oh, and like a newspaper delivery boy.
Yeah. Paper round's a lot shorter. So I would go around to the local houses delivering papers once a week. I think I had around about 1,000 houses or something.
That's a lot.
And there were a lot of places where you'd put the newspaper through the door and you'd feel it being tugged because the dog would be grabbing onto it and pulling it through and growling at it on the other end.
This is what I'm talking about. And so, it's scary, right?
It's pretty common.
So seeing these letterboxes everywhere, it just kind of makes me think as a dog trainer that I don't think that there's really much of a benefit to them because I feel that in common day life that with having pets in the home and them not really being animals that live outside and wander the neighborhood, that is kind of creating more of a backlash because it's creating reactivity in dogs. But that's just the dog trainer in me noticing the letterbox thing. My dog doesn't have an issue with the letters being dropped in. No. She'll let out a bark when she hears the clamp noise to alert that something's here, but she's never shown any aggressive tendencies towards the door. My number one complaint about the differences would be how long it takes to do a load of laundry. So we've come full circle now. We're back to washer dryer stuff.
Yeah.
The washer and dryer that we have is a combined unit, so it's a washer dryer. Where
in this house we don't have the space
for separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a combined unit and it washes and then you can set it up to automatically start a dry load immediately, or you can do it yourself, and it takes about 3 hours per cycle. So it takes a really long time to dry our laundry. So I've learned that if my clothes aren't dry after a 3-hour cycle, to use the radiators. I'm adapting. I'm getting there. So those are our differences about British homes and American homes. If you have any different topics you want to bring up about differences between American
That's probably
homes,
way more
things I
than
missed,
Mm.
yeah, feel free to mention it in the comment box below. Like our video if you enjoyed what we had to say, and subscribe for more information about British things, life in the UK, and visa topics. Bye.
Bye.